Hi guys, Scott Woodward with you to cover round 26, the games on Saturday and Sunday, the last weekend in 2011 in fact. First game up we have the Warriors versus the Cowboys. The Warriors finish rounds 26 or come into round 26, 13 wins from 23 games. The Cowboys 14 from 23. And look, the Warriors should win this game. They've won 10 of the 15 encounters at Mount Smart Stadium, and there's no reason to suggest that that percentage won't be even better after this game. I think the Warriors will probably win this game and finish sixth. I think the Cowboys will finish on 7. So 6 and 7 are the two teams that I think will finish here. Unfortunately, the Cowboys will probably play the Seagulls first up. And the Warriors look like at this stage they'll play the Broncos. That's the way I see it at the moment. Some interesting changes in the game. Sean Berrigan has a little doubt with the Warriors, but he's expected to play. Still don't understand why Lewis Brown isn't an automatic in this team. Why he can't make the top 17 every week is beyond my comprehension. I think he's an immensely talented player. Obviously, he doesn't get on too well with the coach. The big news for the Cowboys is that their tackling machine, Dallas Johnson, is now out, and the Cowboys already aren't one of the best tackling teams in the competition, and then to lose their best guy in defence is a big out, considering when you're playing such a big blockbusting team like the Warriors. So look, it all doesn't help the Warriors. In all honesty, their best hope is Jonathan Thurston returning to his best form. Look, he's still dominated and was still their best player last week, and he's virtually playing on one leg. Since he's injured his left knee, it's still very heavily strapped up, and he's not stretching out, and he's not free like he normally is. But he's such a great player, he'll still be a dominant player again in this game. If we see the bandage gone from Thurston's knee, and he can come back to his very best form, certainly the Cowboys can win this game, but I actually would want to see him run out on the field like that. From what I've seen of the last couple of weeks, the Cowboys can't win this game. They're not the team they were, say, about 2 months ago, but now's the time for them to come good. They've got a very good list. They've certainly got the talent to win this game, but look, the timing's been good for the Warriors. They're at home. It's a big occasion. They've got most of their best players back. At this stage, Matu Vatuvei does not look like he'll play, but they probably don't need him. So for me, pretty comfortable win there for the Warriors. Let's go now to Mount Smart, Toyota Stadium at Cronulla. Sharks versus West Tigers. The Sharks are 7 from 22. West Tigers 13 from 21, and you would think that this would be an easy win for West Tigers. From the 9 games played at Toyota Stadium, 6 have been won by West Tigers. There's a few little doubts about the Tigers. I should say the Sharks, Jeremy Smith, he's not in good shape, but he's expected to play. And obviously, Paul Gallen hasn't been in good shape since the State of Origin. And for some unexplained reason, he keeps playing injured and hobbling off. He'll probably hobble his way to 200 games in this game, but I don't know what he's trying to achieve. If he was an animal, the RSPCA would be called in. I just don't know what's going on there. Jeremy Smith, I've already mentioned, is not in good shape. I think he's their second most important forward. So you've got Jeremy Smith and Paul Gallen not in good shape. So it all points to an easy win for the West Tigers, and they really do need to maintain their momentum 1 week out from the semi-finals and win this game comfortably. Bryce Gibbs is their only little doubt in that game, but he's expected to be okay and play in that game. They look to be in pretty good shape, West Tigers. There's no sign at this stage that there'll be any changes that haven't been named, or they look like they will probably make one change next week from the team that's going around on the weekend. But they're in great shape, West Tigers. All systems go. Saturday, the other game, Titans versus the Eels. Titans are 6 for 21. Eels are 5 from 21. This is a shootout for the wooden spoon. Two very, very disappointing sides. And look, the Titans are in even worse trouble. They've lost their centre, Essie Tonga. They're really struggling for forwards. I would expect Bodine Thompson will come in and replace him. Also, Greg Bird has that broken hand, but he's expected to play with the broken hand. For the Eels, Tim Manor is not in good shape, but he's also expected to play. This really is a nothing game unless you're interested in the wooden spoon. Two very disappointing teams, and I think their supporters are entitled to be very disappointed in the club, the staff, the players, everything. They just haven't shaped up, and they promised so much in 2011. Not sure if 2012 will be any better for them. Bulldogs versus the Raiders, and this is a Sunday game. Bulldogs are 11 from 23. Raiders are 6 from 23. Two poorly coached teams here, in my opinion. I started to gain an opinion of the stand-in Bulldogs coach, but the way they shaped up in the first 40 minutes last week is probably the worst 40 minutes I think I've seen of any club ever. It was just an deplorable effort, and it was such an important game for them. And look, they come good in the second half, and they went on and won the game. But for the team to turn out up like that and put in a starting 40 minutes like that, for me, is not a big rap for the coach. He should have had them prepared better than that. And look, they'll probably win this game. They've got the home ground advantage. The Raiders are going awful, but I look at the list of the Raiders and I look at the list of the Bulldogs, and they're two terrific lists. These guys should be playing semi-finals football, and they're both out of contention. Mathematically, the Bulldogs have a million to one shot, I guess, but it's been very, very highly disappointing for both teams. Once again, there's a light in the tunnel for the Raiders. They'll get Campese back next year. The Bulldogs will get a Pommy forward next year, but gee, I don't know if things are going to change too much. There's a little doubt on Trent Hodgkinson. He hasn't trained all week, but he's expected to play for the Raiders. Not too much from the teams that they've selected. Josh Papali comes in, very, very promising young kid. Always liked him, and he looks set for a very big future. Here's an interesting game on the Sunday. The Broncos versus the Seagulls. Broncos 17 from 23, Seagulls 18 from 23. Now, in AFL they call it tanking. I don't know what's going to happen here. At Suncorp, they've played 13 games. Brisbane have won 7, Manly have won 6. I think you can chalk up another Brisbane win here, not because they're the best team, but simply they'll probably have the best list and have actually got something to play for on the day, as opposed to the Seagulls, who have been decimated with injuries and judiciary suspensions. But having said that, the guys that have come in are all very, very capable players. Will Hopewadi is world class. He may be a little bit underdone. Michael Oldfield, I've got a high opinion of. Jamie Bureau, I have a very high opinion of. I like Joe Naliveo starting up front. Of course, Glenn Stewart is out now, but you know what? When he went off last week, they actually went terrific in the second half without him. Just moving forward, they certainly they can't replace Glenn Stewart, but they can certainly compensate for Glenn Stewart. And it's such a very good rounded team, and they have so much depth. I expect Tony Williams will come in now and start. And if you look at the Manly bench, given all the outs that they've got, Vic Morrow, Dan Harrison, George Rose, Tony Williams, Terrence Cecil and Tim Robertson, all those guys are capable players. And importantly, they're not aged players. There's a lot of promising young blood there. So I think the Seagulls will go very well. I don't know if we'll see any more outs. I certainly would be resting Cherry Evans if it was me. There's no need for the Seagulls to win this game, and they wouldn't want to risk injury with him with the semi-finals the following week. But look, simply because we're talking 17 against 17, it's the last home game for Darren Lockyer. Brisbane should be winning this game pretty comfortably, you would think. The Seagulls haven't got a great deal to play for. The other interesting game we have is the last game, it's the last club game of 2011, the Roosters versus Storm, and this is played down in Melbourne, and of the 7 games played down there between these two teams, the Roosters have actually won 5. So, sorry, this game is at the Sydney Football Stadium. What am I on about? That's why the Roosters have won 5. The Roosters like playing the Melbourne Storm at the Sydney Football Stadium. Now, the Roosters have won 9 from 23. They've got a second win in the second half of the year, albeit some of those games have been lucky wins, but they've been good, gutsy wins, and well done to the Roosters. The Storm, 19 from 23, simply an incredible coaching performance by Craig Bellamy. Bellamy is a very, very intelligent coach. He will know that it doesn't matter whether he wins this game or loses this game. All he will care about will be week 1 of the semi-finals, when he looks like at this stage he'll play either the Knights or South Sydney. in week 1. Both those two teams are suffering injuries, and they'll be playing in Melbourne, and he knows that he'll be $1.20 or something for that game, and he should be winning it easily. So it doesn't matter what happens here. What's important is that his list stay intact and he doesn't get any more injuries after the suspensions that he's already incurred. He's already lost his 2 international New Zealand forwards for this game, and he's lost one of them for the year. On top of that, you can probably put the pen through Jesse Bromwich, who was selected as his starting prop. I would expect that to come in for Jesse will be, who will come in for Jesse? Will probably Thompson, I would expect, would probably come in for him. I've got, if you look at the bench now for the Melbourne Storm, the forward pack will be Brian Norrie, Todd Lowry, Kevin Proctor, Ryan Hinchcliffe. Bench will be Cos Jason, Vaya, Woolno, Jamin Lowe. There is a lot of journeymen there in that Melbourne Storm forward pack. A lot of journeymen. Massive, massive pressure on the Storm's spine to get them home. Now, just bear in mind, the coach doesn't have to play these guys. I certainly, if it was me, I wouldn't be playing Billy Slater. I wouldn't be playing Cooper Cronk, particularly with he's just come back from an injury. I'd want to give him another week off. And Cameron Smith has had an enormous amount of football this year, and to give him another game in a nothing game when you've got the semi-finals coming up, it would be no surprise to see those guys not play a full 80 minutes, and in fact, no surprise to see a couple of them pull out late. There's no need for them to win. All this points to the Roosters having a good chance in this game. They've got nothing to play for. They'll be just throwing the ball around, and they'll be trying to get back a little bit of satisfaction from a lot of the disappointments that they've had during the year. Sam Parrott hasn't had a good week, and I don't expect that he'll probably take his place in this game. But look, there's a lot of young, promising kids that have come through the Roosters here. There's been a lot of very promising young guys that have been recruited over the last 3 or 4 years for the Roosters, and in fact, I think their under-20 side have won their last 8 games straight. A lot of those guys have only just come in the last 6 months. So the future looks good for the Roosters, and while they're outsiders in this game, I do think that they were betting 10.5 point start at the start of the week. I thought that was an absolute steal. They've certainly come in from that price in the last few days, and they may even come in a little bit further. So we'll have the Roosters who will be going flat chat and try and get back a little bit of credibility in this game on their home ground. And the Roosters don't have to, the Storm don't have to win this game, and they have a very, very weakened forward pack with a lot of journeymen, not only starting but on the bench. So for me, I think the Roosters have got a good chance at the odds. They can finish the year as winners and go into 2012 with something to look forward to for a new year with a new playing list. So look, there it is for me. I think it's a very, very tricky round. I'm very, very comfortable with a lot of the the way that the semi-finals are shaping up. So I think we can do very well in the semi-finals, and I'll look forward to talking to you next week. Cheers.